This episode, we explore how one's work and mindset can shape their sense of purpose. Together, we unravel the philosophy of finding meaning in personal growth and the significance of being present in the moment. Join us in this exploration of consciousness, self-awareness, and the pursuit of a more fulfilling life on the Eyes on Growth podcast.
You recently decided to go on a new journey, an adventure, an inward journey.
A journey into the unknown.
Wow. You did an ayahuasca retreat, I think.
I did.
Your second one, if I believe so. Third?
No, second one.
And I'm always interested in these things because many times you at least learn a bit about yourself and maybe heal some trauma and maybe you get some divine inspiration, who knows, or interdimensional poetry. Like, fuck, I don't know. I'm interested to hear about everything that happened, or at least like what it did to you and why you chose to do it.
Okay. So in order to understand my second ayahuasca trip, I have to tell you a little bit about the first.
Right.
First time happened approximately a year and a half ago. So a friend invites me to this ayahuasca trip. I had been curious about it, and I thought to myself, if ever anybody invites me, it's very important, then I'll go to be invited. Eventually he did. I went. Beautiful experience. We were around 20 people sitting in this room all together. They make this so that the energy of everybody coalesces.
How did they do that?
Sitting together, doing it all in the same room instead of each one in his own bedroom. We had some fire in the middle because what this specific shaman says, her name is Ness, cool shaman Casa Ness or something like this. She says that ayahuasca is a medicine. They all refer to ayahuasca as a medicine, not a drug. And they also say that this guy, whatever he's doing during the ceremony, may help you to cure your own stuff. Because, let me get to it. So basically, we were all sitting there. I had the first night where not much happened. Then I had the second where I tripped balls, which basically, the way I explain it today is what happens, you get to have a very deep conversation with your deepest subconscious. So you have access to information you've never had before.
Yeah.
I went in with some questions, and what I learned was that basically we are all one. Everything is part of a huge consciousness. By everything, I mean literally everything. The air we breathe, this table we are resting our arms on, you, me, and whatever. Anything and everything is part of this consciousness, and that you and me, the humans or even the animals, are just here to experience, to get knowledge or evolve, so this general consciousness gets more experience.
Yeah.
Having learned that,
question, did you watch the YouTube video, the egg, before or after? Interesting.
By the way, watch that video.
The egg. Put the egg. Go for the egg.
Let's go 1, 2.
From
the egg.
All right.
Beautiful video. By kurz gesagt. So the experience finishes, and the way I explain this often is, it's like if somebody tells you how to be drunk, or somebody tells you what it feels like to have sex, you can understand it on a intellectual level, but until you have the experience of sex or drunkenness or drugs or whatever, you don't really know what it's like, right? This same thing happened to me during ayahuasca. I had a little bit of contact with this theory that we're all one and blah, blah, blah. But when I felt it, for me, it became true, right? So after this ayahuasca thing, I started reading so much about anything I could get my hands on about spirituality, blah, 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 blah. So I read, I don't know, anything between 50 and 150 books in a year about the subject.
That's a lot of books.
Maybe 25 to 50, who knows? I read a lot. I read a lot of books about the thing. I like reading. So eventually what I was after is living a better life. many people with ayahuasca, they get transported into these parallel dimensions and see the reality of it all. And they decide that that reality, that higher up vibrating reality, is much more interesting than their earth life.
Yeah.
To me, it's the other way around. If we assume that everything is consciousness and that consciousness wants to evolve, that that's its main goal, and we are, the humans, part of the evolvers, the little workers that are doing the evolving, then I assumed consciousness would have figured out the best ways to accomplish this, right? It would have constructed the universe with some rules.
But
so I tried to find these rules, and there are a few. You probably heard of them, like the rule of polarity, of gender, that there's always a masculine to a feminine, the rule of attraction, that whatever you vibrate inside, you will be attracted in your life, etc., etc., etc. So I had these rules, and that's why I did the second ayahuasca trip. My plan was to go in and basically ask, are these rules right? So I could then actually live my life by these rules and do my purpose in the universe, which for me is evolution. I come in, again, this beautiful setting, we're in the countryside, amazing house, really old construct, and again, we're all, it's like 17, 18 people this time, lots of different people, some of the same, and again, we sit in this kind of circle, everybody on a yoga mat. In ayahuasca, you sometimes puke, sometimes poop, so everybody had like a bucket. The toilet was near, everything was set. The same shaman, they play some live music, like these tribal songs, really cool. And
I'd call it Icaro? Oh.
Icaro sometimes, but I don't know if these were Icaros.
Sometimes like somewhere over the rainbow.
No, at one point, they didn't play that one, but they played one that I knew, which was aired.
Yeah, exactly.
Normally it's like, we love you, we're all one.
Exactly.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And at the end of the room, it was like this longish room. There were 3 windows where you could see the mountains and where the sun eventually rose. So it was beautiful. So before the ceremony, they call it ceremony, starts, everybody had to state their intention, meaning what do they want out of this ayahuasca?
Like to yourself, to the group, do you write it down? To the group.
Yeah,
on the bone.
I like
That's
that.
heavy.
My heart was pounding fast because I was next to last almost. So this guy, I want to heal this and this trauma. I want to love myself. I want to do this. I want to do that. So really, I'm fighting depression and the suicidal thoughts.
And then
I had schizophrenia and I want to work on that. Yeah, I mean, these people, many of these people go there to heal stuff.
Of course.
To heal very fucked up stuff, like deep stuff. Eventually it's my turn and I go like, I want to find out the rules about the universe.
That's awesome.
I felt like a douchebag, man. It took me a lot of courage to say that.
Listen, man, you are a douchebag, but I mean, it's the rules of the universe. That's pretty cool. Like it's, I don't think it's. I mean, if it's authentic, if that's your authentic calling. That's why you're there. Then
it 100% was.
Everybody thinks like, God damn, you're a douchebag.
Actually, afterwards, some told me, oh, I loved what you said, it was inspirational, blah blah. The ceremony starts. So first ayahuasca, going back there, eventually I was super into it and my brain was there, but at the same time I was the whole universe. So I had some tripping. This time, well, I drink the shots of ayahuasca. It's like consistency of Jägermeister. It tastes horrible.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
And it just sits there in your stomach and you really feel it. Sometimes it starts hurting really bad. This time what starts happening, nothing. At first, nothing. So this the first night, and I hear the girl sitting right next to me. She goes into really deep. She wanted to reconnect with her body or something. She starts screaming like super loud screams, annoying screams, because in order for ayahuasca to work, you have to enter this meditative state. You cannot be in your head. If you're thinking, nothing happens. So she's annoying me a little. Then the girl in front.
You are being annoyed by her.
Exactly.
It's different.
Exactly. but wait, at this stage, she's annoying me. At least this is my explanation, right? Across from me, another girl goes like, she's in pain. So she, for nonstop, for what felt like hours, maybe it was minutes, she was like, like real pain. 2 people over, a guy, a friend of mine, the one who invited me to the first ayahuasca ceremony, starts playing his harmonica, and he's not a good harmonica player. He just goes like, so for me, all of this was like, come on, people, just shut up, which is weird because the first ceremony, there was much more noise, much more distraction, and it didn't bother me at all. This time I was bothered until I decided to go out where the 3 windows towards the mountain was. I lie down there for a while. I go back in. I'm still annoyed, out and in. This is how the entire night goes. Nothing happens.
That's rough.
Until around 6 a.m., everybody puked their hearts out and danced and listened to the music and had these amazing trips. Everything is...
And you're sober.
I'm still there, yeah. And I saw everything, right? Like, since I'm here, at least I'm going to observe. It's super interesting to watch. So everybody's calming down, and finally I somehow enter into this meditative state. And what I realize is like, Luciano, why does it bother you so much? It's not what they're doing, it's how you are reacting to it, right? So then the realization comes that whatever we're looking for, and I had read this at least 50 times, whatever we're looking, but it never clicked, Whatever we're looking for is in the present. Whenever it sounds simple.
No, man, like, continue, please. But I have something to say about this, yeah.
I'm almost done. So whatever you need to work on, the present life, the universe, will show you, and this will probably annoy you, make you angry, make you sad, make you loving, whatever. This is how you can resolve every single one of your traumas. It's never about what's happening outside you. It's how you are reacting to what's outside of you. And you do not need those rules, actually, because those rules...
Which rules?
The rules I wanted to know about, right? I don't need them because they will always be working anyway. If the future doesn't exist, because it doesn't, right? You can plan for the future, but okay, at least in my head state, I was like, the future isn't, the past isn't. Everything I have is right here, right now. So whenever I feel something, let's say annoyance, this is the universe giving me an opportunity to work this shit out.
Yeah.
You understand? And so I should be thankful, actually. This is an evolution opportunity right now. Whenever I get angry, whenever I get sad, whenever I feel lonely or whatever, it's another opportunity the universe is giving me to work that shit out. So when I realized that, I literally had like a surge of energy going through. I was like shaking. I cried a little, and that was done. That was it. And I woke up. Well, I didn't wake up, but then I was super happy. Second night, nothing happened.
No way, man. No way.
Nothing.
Wow. Did you ask for more after the first night?
The second night, no. I thought I was done. I was like, right now I don't want to know more stuff. But
see, like you're enlightened.
Not at all.
Yes,
not at all.
Don't be. Is it the word like whatever?
Humble. I'm not. I now know where I can work at.
Yeah, awesome.
But the next day's integration was weird because after each night you do an integration where everybody shares what they've lived.
Yeah,
it was an amazing time. Super interesting stuff. But that's when the shaman brought up the point again that, remember, the medicine, ayahuasca, is working through all of us together. That's why we do it together. And that's when I realized, it really, really was. It was, at least the way I interpreted it, it was making me extremely annoyed at everybody. And that brought me to the realization that only thing that matters is the present.
It's awesome. That's awesome, because I don't know when you did this exactly, but last Wednesday I had this extremely similar experience.
Wow.
Where my my life as it is now, at least has for now it's changed a lot, and it might change back because I'm a human being. But I'll explain to you a bit what happened to me. Like, so in the last months now, I've been working in my business on building like an ad system so we can automate the PPC pay-per-click ads on Amazon. I have a business that sells products on Amazon, so that's it's a bitch. It's a lot of work. It's an insane amount of work, and it's very complicated. And you just spend your whole day looking at the computer, and it feels like never ending. And what I've been doing is, like, I have a good routine for myself, and then I do the work so I can perform well and I can live a happy life still. But I've not have time for anything, so I've been cutting like a bit of time here and a bit of time there. My days working became longer and longer, and I just became like very much living like, okay, I just want this to be done, and then, right? So basically,
That old trap.
yeah. But for me, it's been the biggest trap in my life, and I think I only realized now that I was still living it after I had my first success, sold a company, which was one of the biggest milestones, and then I still got into the trap of living for a goal instead of in the now. Like when I go to the gym, I think we talked about this earlier in different podcasts, but my life in general is very focused on the process, not the goal. And then everything becomes enjoyable because now is the only moment there is. But with the work, I got back into that mode of when I make X amount with this company, when the ads thing is finished, but then I realized there's always next project. So I was stuck in this mindset for a long time. And how did it affect me? Like,
Were you still enjoying the process?
oh yeah, but it was very tiring. Like I got up in the morning, and usually, and before this project, like I got up and sometimes like I was dancing and listening to music, and I'm super happy. We do the breath work, me and Blanca, and in general, energized and happy person. And now I was just cranky, and after work, I didn't have the energy to be social, just very closed off. So last Wednesday, I was walking to the gym after work, and I was listening to Osho. Of course, first time.
With Osho?
My dog listening. So I didn't listen to Osho and or read for me, which is normally is like a daily thing, but I didn't do it for like 3 weeks even, because I do it during gym time, and I realized when I do resistance training, I don't really listen because I cannot do two things at the same time, so I quit.
I think nobody can.
I know. That's probably very true. But with the cardio, if I'm walking and it's more of a passive automated thing and you don't have to count your sets and it's easier, so then I can do it better. So anyway, like, I'm listening to this audiobook, which I thought was quite garbage. I mean, a lot of things that I didn't really connect with me, but also I wasn't paying attention as well. So then the first time that I connect again with this audiobook, and as I'm walking home and there's 10 minutes, like the first thing he said was about like two things that actually really profoundly impacted me. And the first was like, you have to, when you do something, when you say you're going to do something, you have to do it, because if you say something and you don't do it, you go against yourself and you lose confidence in yourself and you lose respect for yourself, and that's extremely damaging to your growth as a human being and your happiness, because you cannot basically you can't trust yourself then,
Forget that rule so much.
Yeah, that's fucked. I mean, I think I'm quite good at it, but I heard it was like, fuck, he's right. Because then, small thing, like I was sitting in the sauna. I'm always like, I'm going to do 15 minutes. The sauna's fucking hot. Who wants to do 15 minutes? After 10 minutes, I'm like,
I did 10.
I did 10, it's fine. I'll go out and then do maybe 10 more or not. This time I was like, okay, I'm going to do 15 minutes. And I just committed, and I didn't give myself the escape. And then the whole experience, I didn't even suffer, because it was like, I'm here, I chose this. And it was easy for me. And well, normally I'm like counting the fucking minutes. Like I see the sand thing, it's going down. Like there's a sand, what is it called? An hourglass or something?
Yeah, let's call it sand clock.
A sand, that sounds
An
cool.
hourglass.
Yeah. So I'm literally like looking at the thing normally like, when is this 15 minutes going to be over? Now it was just smooth. But that was not the biggest realization. So the second thing that he said was, he talked about spiritual growth, but I think it's about anything. He's like, if you want to have like real spiritual growth and succeed at something, then the moment you want to succeed, like you desire to achieve the goal, you already messed it up, because you're like a house divided against itself. Like you now here in the process, but you're attached to the goal, which means like you don't want to be here, you want to be where the goal is. What happens then is the whole time you're in the process, like I was with the ads, I was desiring for the thing to be done, right? Which means I've lost a couple of months of my life, because in my mind I'm doing the work, but to get here. But I mean, like you said, there's only one. The moment is now. Like this is the only thing that's happening. So I realized that I was very aware that in the first 32 years of my life, I basically sacrificed all of the now for the future, for the goals I wanted to do. But I didn't really realize I was still doing it.
Did work out quite well for you, though.
It did, but you never know what the
financials.
Exactly, that's true. But so now, what was this change? Like it's like something right? I mean, if you're constantly desiring, you might read it 50 times. Like you said, you're desiring to be somewhere where you're not. Now you're not gonna live in the moment, and you don't really, I don't know, you're not gonna be happy. At least I wasn't. So what happens? Like normally, what's one of my problems is that I check a lot if we're selling a lot of products. Like if the sales are going well, you can just refresh it like it's a button. And why do I do that? Because I want things to go well. So what does my stupid brain do? Is like, okay, let's check if things are going well, which is irrelevant, because everything you do now in 3 to 6 months, you might see the results, but it's not like now, right? It's not like, oh yeah, now things are going well. But what happens is I actually feel bad when it's the sales are down, and I feel good when the sales are up.
Dopamine.
Yeah, exactly. It's like an addiction. So I have this strong need when I wake up in the morning to check how yesterday went. And in the day, maybe 50 times, I check, I refresh, like, how are we doing? What's the sales in this country, everywhere? Which it makes my emotional health dependent on if we're selling fucking products in France, and if it's more than yesterday and last year. It's insane, And I realize that it's insane, but it's like a drug. I do it. And what does it make me do? Like, it makes me unhappy, and it makes me, again, look for something outside of myself to see if I am doing well, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried many times to quit that behavior. I listened to Osho, and I'm like, I just clicked. And that was Wednesday, so Thursday was the first day, and I woke up and I felt no need to check it, and I didn't check it Thursday, I didn't check it Friday, didn't check it today, and I have no need to check it, because I realize I truly have to feel, maybe again it's going to change, like I realize that like everything like is now, as in everything that's actually real is now, just like you said with the annoyances, like that's the thing that's going on now. So the way I see it is you better love your situation now, because otherwise you're going to be depressed,
Say, and otherwise you're not living life.
Exactly. You're not living, because you're living. The thing is, when you say it, it seems so, how do you say it, superficial or so obvious, or I don't know the right word now, but everyone's like, yeah, you have to live in the now. Yeah, of course, but like to actually realize it and then do it, it's a second.
It's super hard.
Because you can read it and hear it 1,000 times, but once you get it, you're like, fuck. And then I also realized that, like, the other thing that came with it is that it's kind of empty now. So I'm working, and now my focus is like, I want to just, I know things take a long time. It's fine. There's going to be a new project. I'm a kind of person that continuously going to do new projects. So this idea that after this is going to be less, no, because I'm going to do something else. I focus on doing the best I can. But what did I do with this checking of the sales? I basically created my own carrot and my own stick. Like if it goes well, like you get the dopamine rush, and then suddenly the meaning of the like doing the business is very much tied to the financial success of it, right? And I've always in my life done that. It's always goal oriented. So then suddenly the goal drops, because I realize, yeah, having these goals is only making me unhappy.
So what's the goal now?
But first of all, like I am quite, that's what I'm confused about, because what I'm seeing now is my energy is just so much better. I'm super happy. I'm waking up, I'm listening to music, I'm dancing. I'm like, my moments are a lot better. But when I finish the day working, I'm like, like, because there's nothing to strive for as a target anymore, understand? It's like every day is the target. Every hour you're working, you do the best you can, and you create the coolest shit you can, and you build the best system you can, and then you clock out, and then it disappears. The whole meaning which I made for myself in the business, like, I'm like, I want to grow this company to X, to Y, to Z, this much people, this much money. It's like, that's bullshit. I realize now it's nothing. And I should have realized before I started the company, because the last time when it went well and I sold the company, and I was like, yeah, this is bullshit. But I got into the same trap again. But now, like, I don't know. I have no answer except, every day, just every moment, make the best of it. Again, super cliche, but I mean.
But let me ask you this. What do you think life is about?
That's not an easy question. The question...
or what do you want your life to be about?
Like what you said about the continuous learning and understanding of the growth of consciousness as a whole. Like for me, it feels like I'm understanding how to live, basically. So
great, good, perfect answer. At least I agree with the answer a lot. So in my case, whenever I doubt about my work, if I'm growing, if I'm evolving during my work hours, then it's worthwhile. Whatever I do, I don't care. Then it has meaning because it's helping my evolution.
Yeah.
No?
I understand that, but do you have any fixed goals? Like, do you want to have an X amount of money? How do you, your life, like, for me, it's always been that, and it's very difficult to see how not to live like that.
To me, my goal is freedom, more freedom. That's it. That's my goal. I've talked about this with you the first time we met. I remember, and at that stage, it was about 10K per month would give me the financial freedom I want. And I think it's still the same number. But I don't think about that a lot. Not during my work day. During my work day, it's more like tiny goals, like I need to call that guy so this happens, or I need to sell, I do real estate, so I need to sell this or buy this or whatever. But yeah, whenever I ask the question, does this make any sense? Because I don't really like the society we live on and what we occupy our time. So the what's the name for this? The reasoning I got, the way I made peace with myself was this. If I'm evolving, then it makes sense. If I'm not learning, that's when I need to be careful. If I'm in a dead-end job where I do the same shit every day and I don't enjoy it and I'm not learning, then it sucks. And as soon as I had this compromise that if I'm learning, it's good, I enjoy my job so much more.
Yes.
Especially if it's a challenge.
Yes, I understand it, but I guess, like, I think it's just the way of the way I am is that I understand that, but I think it's difficult to explain in words what you feel. Like the emptiness or the meaningless is the right word. I created my own meaning. Like there's I think it's not nihilism, but like one of these philosophies that said life is meaningless, but you can give it meaning, basically. So everything is meaningless, but you should give it meaning, otherwise your life is basically actually meaningless. But you can make it meaningful by doing that. And my choice of how to do that was always to create these goals for myself. And now, cliche again, I'm learning, like, but actually, like you said, like every moment lived, there's the meaning in the moment. It's just you, like, to live in the moment cannot even be made to live well in the moment, to be here pure, like fully. That's for me now. If I would have to say, that at least would give me a fuckload of energy and would make me very happy. But it seems like when I say it, it seems stupid and empty. Exactly. Just like a video game would seem stupid and empty if it wouldn't have a goal. Like, I'm very bad at these free roaming video games.
You are?
Yeah.
I love those.
Fucking hate it. I'm like,
I love those.
No,
Like,
I need some
and
structure.
I may spend like 2 hours exploring a weird cave.
No, I do the
Leads
main
nowhere.
quest and that's it, and I'm done. So
Really?
that's the difference. Yeah,
Oh, that's
exactly.
a little difference in our brains. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's a nice difference, but it leads to the point that now I'm basically figuring it out. But if I look at my days, my last 3 days have been
Amazing.
amazing. Like, really, it's a huge change. Like yesterday, for example, with Blanca, like after work we had a drink, and normally when I would have a drink, the two of us, after work of I don't know how many hours, I'm brain dead. Yeah, I'm a zombie. And like after an hour, I'm like, let's go watch Netflix or something because it's too much. And
Just
yesterday,
off your brain, right?
yeah, yesterday we were having deep conversations for like a couple of hours, maybe 4 or 5 hours. It was super nice. And yeah, that rarely happened before. So that's very profound and meaningful. But yeah, I don't know.
In the end, what I've heard over and over, especially from all these ayahuasca people, is whatever you believe, that is it.
No.
Life in general. To me, I made my peace with if I'm doing better today than I did yesterday, I'm good. I don't need more. Maybe that's not enough for you.
And how do you define better?
Well, evolution. Well, I'll give you the example with boxing.
It was psychologically, like, what do you mean with
In all areas.
Yeah.
Physically,
Okay.
financially, psychologically, how I think, how I
Yeah, but there's a lot of areas. Like one improvement might be,
in detriment to others.
for example, I think I told you this, when I started smoking was an improvement of my life.
Have you told me this?
Maybe not. I'm telling you now.
Kids.
Don't smoke. I quit smoking as well. Wasn't
This is sponsored by Marlboro.
I don't even say that shit. No,
Argent
exactly. So no, I was 31. Yeah, I was 30, I think, and I started smoking because I ran out of weed. So I was like, "There's no more weed, so I'll
Did you
smoke
become
tobacco."
a cool guy?
That's it. That's why I was good
That's
for me.
where you going at?
No, I like the reason. My parents, when I was young, they were like, "If you don't smoke," because they both smoked, still do, we're gonna pay for your driver's license if you don't smoke. And I was like, "That's a good deal. I won't smoke." I didn't even want to smoke, but I mean,
Well, since they're offering free driver's
Exactly.
license, okay, I'll take it.
but I definitely did not smoke because of them or that deal basically we had, right? And so when I was this was an example of many things that I would not do because of my parents, right? Because I should behave basically according to their standards, which they raised me super well as like. But this is just with every kid.
Yeah.
They're gonna be. I don't know. Your parents have a way they want you to be, which is a good kid for society and for the people around you. And you sometimes don't want to be a good kid. But I was a good kid, always. I was an angel, like honestly.
Were you really?
I was really.
You don't seem like it.
I know, but
You seem like the opposite.
But
I
I
would have
was.
believed
No,
you
no,
were
no.
like doing drugs, selling drugs to
Just
13-year-old Josh was starting his first business.
none of that. I was
Police
super shy and very good and all these things. And then when I was like 31, like I ran out of weed, and I was like, why do I not try the tobacco? And it was really good. I really enjoyed it. So I started smoking, and it was, of course, very bad for me. I became a bit addicted. Smoked like a pack a day, like when I got up with the coffee, the stupid thing. But it felt very empowering, and it was an amazing thing. I didn't even like it had nothing to do with my parents now, but it was just like it was something I knew that was bad for my body that nobody wanted me to do. I still did it.
Yeah.
And I felt good because now
Got the self-confidence.
I made
boost,
exactly.
right?
I made a choice. Like fuck it. Like this is what I want to do. So whatever, you know.
But this brings us back to whatever you believe. That is it.
Yeah, but that's why I asked you. Like, what do you mean if I'm doing better than the day before?
If I believe I'm doing better than the day before, then I am.
Yeah.
you know?
Okay.
Even if I'm a crazy person, right? I don't know. But in my case, I cannot, on my deepest self, I cannot lie to myself.
Right.
I know if I'm fucking up or not, at least for myself, according to my principles. It's my life.
So you don't, it can very well be that
there can be something harmful.
Like health-wise, you're doing something bad, but you know, like me with the cigarettes, like this is actually a good decision.
After this, I'm going to have some beers. It's not good for my health. I did boxing this morning, but I'm going to enjoy the shit out of them.
Right.
And, this might not be a step in my evolution, the beers, but maybe I suddenly dare to speak to the woman of my life. So this little shitty thing helped me in time to get this huge ass love or whatever. Doesn't matter. As long as I believe I'm doing better, then I am.
Exactly.
And if I am doing better, then I have meaning in my life. I don't need more. I realized this some time ago.
Because it was really nice. Like I want to have that belief or that frame, because I think it's no, it's a very good frame to live by, I think. And then, I mean, that's in the end, like to realize you're always in the process and to just be happy when you're doing it well, the process, instead of looking towards some self-created goal or even by others that's in the end not going to give you fulfillment. Like it's always yourself against yourself, and you're always learning. And once you're going the right direction, if you can get fulfillment out of the direction instead of the goal, that's where I want to be as well. But I mean, it's a change.
On the good days, I can.
Yeah.
On the bad days, of course, I don't see meaning in any of it. We're still tiny people floating on a rug in space, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? But on the good days, for sure, I love it. I love life. It's getting better and better.
I wanted to ask you a question, but
Is it gone?
It's gone from my brain.
No. Okay, don't worry. We'll be back eventually. Osho, give him power. The power of the light side. He looks kind of crazy on that picture, doesn't he?
I think most enlightened people probably are a bit crazy, no?
They have like these lost eyes, you know? Like
lost.
They're looking a little bit through you instead of at you. Have you ever seen it?
No, but I think in the ayahuasca world, these things are more common, no?
Yeah.
Like I know it with people who are heavy into the ayahuasca that they're sometimes like this.
Especially when they've done like 50 times or 100 times. I have this buddy who's done it over 100 times.
Jesus.
And he's like, hey, Lucio, how are you? Without the creepiness, I'm sorry.
No,
the creepiness, but you understand. Now slow talking, very thoughtful about everything he says. And, different things go on in that brain. I have no idea what. But I also decided that because now my life is all about gaining more awareness of the present moment. So whenever something bothers me in any way, I can, instead of going with it, instead of really getting angry, I can go like, okay, what am I supposed to learn here?
That was what I wanted to add. That's exactly what I wanted to ask you, is that from your ayahuasca experience, like that everything is in the moment, like how, like in concrete terms, like practically, how are you going to implement this? Like what can you take from it and how are you planning to work with that?
I have some tools, but I know I'm not gonna get more, because what I figured out this time too is ayahuasca is like the classroom. It gives you a class. You then have to implement that in your life via very hard work. Ayahuasca is the easy part. But then if you actually want to change, or if you want to apply that knowledge, you have to work at it actively. So in order to create more awareness, in order to be more present, meditation is a great tool, because meditation has taught me to bring back focus to where I want focus to be.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of meditation where I focus on my breath, or now I'm doing this, it doesn't matter. So as soon as my brain goes off, I gently go like, no, I'm focusing on the breath. And I keep doing this. So it's like a muscle. It's going to the gym, but for the brain. Helps me a lot, because eventually when you're living your life and you just go off and become mad at somebody, you immediately also realize that you're getting mad.
Exactly. You train like a muscle, like you said, you train your awareness. Instead of being identified with every emotion that comes in, you can detach a bit and see like, whoa, this thing that's going on, I don't want this. and you can let it go. You can go into it and step out of it easier.
Exactly. And then the other things are the tools that I've already used, trying to be healthy, sport, doing things that I enjoy. All of these create a moment where it's easier to stay in the moment. Why do I think this? Because when I eat like shit, when I don't do sports, when I do things I don't enjoy, it's much more negative thoughts happening in my head, and it's much harder not to chase after one of them.
Yes.
You know, you can't be aware, but as everything else, it takes up energy.
Yeah.
It takes up willpower to be aware. So if during a day I have 100 episodes where I'm angry or sad or whatever, then eventually I'm going to lose that battle, and that day I'm just going to be extremely mad.
Exactly.
But if it's 1 or 2 a day, I can actually focus on those and go like, okay, what's happening here? So leading a healthy life plus meditation. And the third thing is what I don't know yet, is all of my studying focus is now shifting towards how can I be more present? Finding books on the subject, videos on the subject, whatever, on this podcasts on the subject.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to do this year. So whenever I'm done with that, if ever, probably never, then maybe I'll do another ayahuasca. But so far,
that's interesting. Like Gurdjieff, which is a Russian George Gurdjieff, which is a Russian spiritual guru, I guess, and also dance teacher, by the way. Dance teacher and spiritual guru.
Do you listen to him when you dance?
I do not listen. I don't even know what his voice is like.
Let's play some Gurdjieff.
Gurdjieff. I think. George Gurdjieff. Well, basically...
Gurdjieff.
Yeah, with an R. So this guy is a Russian philosophist or spiritual guru, whatever. What he did is like he proposed the fourth way. And the fourth way, I'm going to mess this up so bad. You have 3 ways to become like enlightened. He says like the way of the fakir, the monk, and the yogi.
Okay.
And one of them, like the yogi, is like the intellectual. So you basically try to understand. The fakir is going through the instinctive way, or fighting the instincts or whatever. And then you have the monk, who is with the emotional. At least that's how he says it. And he says there's a fourth way, which is basically becoming enlightened through a school, but like in real life, so you don't step out of life by becoming a yogi and you just isolate yourself, or a monk or a fakir. No, you're a human being, you do your job, and then in the meantime you become a better enlightened person during your lifetime in society, which is also what Osho proposes, which I like that. So through Osho, I've came into contact with Gurdjieff, and man, the guy has written books which are insanely difficult to read, and also not directly on the point. It's more the story form that he tells his thing. So what I did, he had a student, I think, if I recall correctly, who put the ideas of the guy into an actual book that's readable, like questions and answers even. So I am reading the book, and the book, one of the things that in this theory, one of the things that are posed is that we are not yet conscious. Like there's levels of consciousness, but most people are in a state of sleep and are like odd machines, like he says. There's no, and sometimes you have moments of consciousness, but the goal is to become a conscious being and basically to give birth to your soul.
Okay.
Kind of awesome. And he also says the same as Osho, like man as a crowd, the idea that you have this instinctual center.
Man as a what, sorry?
A crowd.
Okay.
Remember? So instinctual center, emotional center, and you have an intellectual center, like it did 3 brains, as he says. And in all these centers, there's different wants and needs and desires and different eyes even. And sometimes the intellectual part decides like I should eat healthy, but then an hour later, the instinctual side center is in charge.
Let's get that burger.
And you get the burger, and then you're angry at yourself, and like there's this inner conflict. So he says, one, man is not aware, and two, like you don't have a soul yet. You can give birth to your soul by basically becoming aware of the fact that you
birth.
Yeah, it's awesome. So basically, becoming aware of the fact, becoming aware of yourself more, and then realizing that you're not actually aware, which has been a mind fuck for me, because I read that, because he's just like, you have relative consciousness, you have consciousness, and like sleep, and I think one other level. So I've been reading the book, and it's called The Fourth Way, I think, and from this student of Gurdjieff.
Definitely gotta check that out.
And
is it a pain in the ass?
It's not. It's the only thing that is difficult is that he's a proponent of, you have to find a school to basically evolve as a person. You cannot do it by yourself. I also disagree. So that makes me kind of like, maybe he's a scam artist who wants to, give people to school.
Yeah,
exactly. But a lot of good things as well in the book. So then I started realizing the consciousness thing, as in I trying on a day-to-day basis, like the moments that I realized, like, hey, I'm here, I'm actually, I exist. I'm not just in the computer here eating, not being conscious. So I realized, like, after reading the book, how little of my time I'm actually aware. It's insane. Like, I go to the bathroom, what I realize is, when I go to the bathroom here, I sit down, I'm like, I'm aware now. But those are like the moments, and some others.
With your pants down. That's when you gain awareness while pooping. I'm aware now.
In a word, yes, I poop, so I exist. That's what Descartes said, right?
Yeah, that's exactly.
I shit, so I exist.
We're throwing shit towards everybody.
But becoming more conscious. Like, that's also, like, I think that's one of the only things you can do, and also because everything happens now. Like you said, everything is in the now. So I've been playing with the idea that you basically have to have like radical acceptance, not even radical acceptance, I think radical love towards everything.
Yeah.
That's now, because like, even if you're like, let's say you're in pain, maybe you're in physical pain, you literally can resist all of that pain and be like, fuck, at this pain, and blah, blah, or you can be like...
Yeah, like a sauna.
Yeah, exactly, which is a mild form of pain, of course, of suffering, but the suffering the pain is there, but the suffering is mostly
inflicted.
Inflicted, exactly. So if it's true that the only thing that is here, and there is no fucking escape, now is now, that's the only thing. You cannot escape to the future, right? I thought you could escape to the future, but the thing what happens is, when you escape to the future, you lose the only thing that you have, the now, right? Mm-hmm. So what if you're you're in excruciating pain, or you're in a little bit of pain, or you're a bit depressed? Like, you can fantasize about the future and you can try to escape, but actually you will still be in pain, because this is the only moment there is, right? Mm-hmm. So you have the resistance to the moment because you want to be somewhere else. So I think, which is difficult to practice, but as well what I'm trying to, which tangles in with your intending to be more conscious, is that I am trying to have like a radical love towards the moment, towards everything that's now, because like, if you are the one who can value what's happening now, like you lose a shitload of energy by resisting, and you cannot resist. It's impossible to resist anything that's going on right now. If there's like a plane flying over and it's annoying, or somebody's mowing the grass, or mowing, is it a word?
That's the word, yeah.
Mowing the grass. It sounds strange. Mowing.
Now it sounds strange that you made it strange. To me, it was not.
Mowing the grass, or like the ayahuasca people, they're puking and singing and crying, and you're just...
Don't forget the harmonic.
The harmonica as well.
Right?
I'm
talking about.
I mean, that's the moment. And then you can choose to be annoyed for 6 hours and be like, this motherfucker, and leave. Or you can be like, this is it. And
this is what I have.
This is the only thing. I'm going to love it to shit. Like, I'm going to love it to death. Like, awesome. This is awesome, And it has to be real. I understand that, but I hope...
That's the thing. You cannot trick it, right? You cannot bullshit yourself like, yeah, I love it, this is so great, and in reality, you're just really, really annoyed.
No, but I think the two things together make a good point. Like the first thing of Osho, like I mean, many people would like, once you commit to something, you have to do it, right? Which also is basically what Gurdjieff would say. Like, I think part of birthing your soul, because he says you have to create a inner gravity, not a magnetic center, but I don't know, let's say a magnetic center. You have to create like gravity inside of you, whatever, man, something, some center,
Some
gravitational center or something.
Okay.
And how do you do that? It's by basically what Osho says, like, if you do something, you commit to it. If you do something, you commit to it. So basically, all of the things, like the maybe this, maybe that, everything disappears because you're building this inner core, right? So if you combine that, the created, like the inner core you create, you know now what you're gonna do and what you're not gonna do, and you know you're gonna fucking do it when you say it, and you know you're not, when you're not gonna, you say you're not gonna do it, you're not gonna do it. So you have direction.
So you have that certainty.
You have certainty. You have direction. You know who you are. You know who you're not. So you know if you're in the sauna, you're gonna stay in the sauna, and you know if you're gonna, you know, you're a little bitch. So when you see the hamburger, you're gonna eat it, but you know that you're gonna eat it. You know you have this. You are a thing now. You've given birth to your soul, basically. And if you then combine that, like if you have that, and you combine that with, like the environment, every input and output that's just going in, and you know exactly where your limits are and your boundaries are and what your line of action will be in the situation. I think that would help a lot by not suffering, because you know basically if you in that situation when you were, right, let's say you've created this gravitational center inside you that's like, okay, if these people are screaming, I'm just gonna leave. I don't want to be here, which means I'm the person. The moment it starts in like 10 minutes, you're out. You're like, ciao, and that's it. End of suffering.
I tried. They didn't let me.
No way. What?
They were like, dudes, please, nobody wander off into the night because we might be worried.
Yeah.
I literally went to one of the junior shamans and I was like, dude,
exactly.
I'm okay. Can I go?
He's like, no.
He was like, dude, please don't worry us.
Yeah, okay, that might be difficult, but maybe then you.
But I know where you
understand, right? Like, so you either then you go out, so you end the suffering, or you're now a person that knows like this. I committed to this 6 hours. Whatever's happening, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go move through it. I'm going to work with whatever comes. In either scenario, like you're not suffering, because you know like this is who I am, this is what I'm gonna do. You've given birth to your beautiful soul.
Those were crazy eyes, by the way. This ties in beautifully if you think about that universe is all there is and that you're always supposed to learn something.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, this sounds a little weird because we're in an air conditioned office in Barcelona and we're not being raped or dying of hunger or whatever. Yeah. Right? But everything that happens to us, if we believe these teachers, is supposed to teach us.
Well, you can get a lesson out of everything, at least. I'm not sure if it's supposed to teach us, but if you don't get the lesson, you kind of fucked it up.
You think?
Yes.
I'm not sure about this.
What do you mean?
I think...
You think you think the goal is to learn.
Mm-hmm. And that when we're getting catalysts, which are making us learn.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I...
If you don't want to suffer, then the goal is to learn. But I don't think there is an external force or a meaning that you have to learn. I think just if you want a life where you minimize the suffering and you make the best out of any situation, you better fucking learn. Otherwise, you're going to suffer.
You don't think so, that there's like a external force? This might sound crazy then, but let's say universe is father and we are the toddlers, right?
I think we're both.
Toddlers, for sure.
And the universe.
And the universe, of course. But, okay, the way we don't have perception of everything all at once right now, right? So we only have our own perception.
Yes.
So we're the toddlers right now in this scenario, and you send the kids to school. So they learn, school being life.
Yes.
So you get different signatures or whatever the name is, different subjects, blah, blah, blah. You learn. So everything I think life is about is facing yourself against various situations to learn. But these situations are created on purpose, mostly.
Everything evolves through resistance. So like everything is always like everything evolves. Like if you have a lion who is very fast, and then the gazelle learns how to jump, not like they run faster, and then only the lions who run even faster than the gazelle, they survive. And then suddenly some zebra, like a genetic accident happens, and the zebra now has like this camouflage, which makes those type of zebras live longer because nobody can see them. They're camouflaged.
But is it adaptation or
it's adaptation? Yeah, but it's the resist. It's like a constant adaptation / improvement in the game of life. Like one part becomes better, and then the other becomes better, and it becomes better. It becomes better at being itself. A lion becomes a better lion because every generation becomes more capable of hunting because only the best hunters survive and breed. So, and then the gazelle, they become a better gazelle because gazelles get eaten that are too slow. So basically each species evolves
to the other species.
Yes, because of the pressure of the evolutionary process of the environment.
Again, I just realized we're trying to think of the rules again, and they don't really matter, do they?
That depends. Like it can be fun, but I don't think it matters to live your life. No, I don't think.
No.
But
as long as you keep being in the definitely, we can keep going for ages. Because do you then think that the universe puts these gazelles in front of the lions so they are forced to evolve past certain limitations?
I have no idea. Like the point is, I have no clue. Like the egg idea might be true, that we're basically, like if you would see it as consciousness either learning or experiencing itself, as in like it's boring to be God because you're everything, and it's just you are everything, so you experience everything, and you don't. I don't know. Like if there's only one, then it's not fun. Like if you have many different experiences within the whole, and you forget that you're yourself, and it's suddenly like a individual creature who knows it's not God has a lot of intense experiences because you don't want to die, because when you're dead, it's over. So then suddenly it becomes at least an interesting experience to live. So it might just be like, if you go down that path, like I have no idea. Maybe we're a simulation. Maybe there's no meaning at all. But at least there's both the human being as the lion. If they don't learn, they're gonna have a shitty life, because not learning means not becoming the best version of yourself, and making it less likely that you will procreate and survive in a good way. So I think life is set up in all senses to reward improvements. And then, yes, if something extremely terrible happens to you, like I don't know if you are really supposed to learn for anyone else than yourself, right? That's the thing that I don't know. Like, is life giving these lessons to you? Or if you want to make the best out of your possibly shitty situation, for sure you will, for your own life, you will do well by learning from every bad situation. You understand? So I don't know if it's...
I think you were right on both accounts.
Yeah, it could be, we could live, it could be like an external purpose. Like, let's say life's a video game, and then maybe the goal for every soul who checks in is actually like the game is giving you like lessons all the time, like actively, right? Just like a game that set up challenges. And then maybe the players who do not take these challenges, maybe they're actually making mistakes. Maybe they should learn the thing, or maybe there's no meaning at all. It's just the situation arises. The individual is just gonna live a shittier life if he doesn't take the lesson. But there's no meaning. It's not like you have to learn or you don't have to learn. You know.
Well, eventually it comes down again to what you choose to believe.
Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm. But the cool thing is, if we're all part of this massive consciousness,
mm-hmm.
and eventually everybody kind of agrees on what they believe on, which I don't say should happen or not happen, because it's always dangerous when everybody goes one direction.
Mm-hmm.
But if everybody agrees on what they believe on, then that is the reality you actually create.
Yes. But I mean,
what was that? A little sigh.
like the reality you create, like, yes, but it's maybe more the illusion you create,
Yeah.
which is then the reality. But reality sounds like the thing that has substance. But if it's more like
There is no reality, right?
it's a perspective, I guess.
Then you
I don't know, like,
these perspectives for the next generations.
Yeah.
Whatever. Then humans can be born that believe in all of this.
yes,
And grow like this and evolve like this. Hold on. Doesn't sound terrible.
sounds good. Sounds pretty good.
So our school starts now. Imagine we're trying to get students like the Gurdjieff guy.
Maybe at some point. I mean,
Never.
not like this, but I mean, why not? Like, it's more like Anthony de Mello, and and one of the spiritual teachers. Like, what I really like from his talks is that he repeats it a couple of times, but he says like, rain grows on the land, and it produces thorns in the marshes, and flowers in the fields or something. So you have rain. It grows both the thorns, which are like the needles of in the marshes. I don't know what it's like, a swampy area, I think, a marsh. I don't know exactly. My English is not great.
Thorns in the swamps.
Yeah, let's say. And then in the fields, it grows beautiful flowers.
Okay.
It's the same thing. The rain is the same, right?
Okay.
So I would never want to be the guys like, hey, come to my school to learn. But if people, like he says, like, if you say something and you just yourself and you have your perspective on life, and some people are like, hey, this is kind of interesting, I might learn something. I think that's a very different thing.
Of course, that has value.
Oh.
That's how we humans evolve faster, when we compare notes and you go like, this worked for me, and the other guy goes like, this worked for me.
But yeah, the whole pressure on the school thing, and that I have a very strong resistance against schools and being like, this is the right way and you need, because that's from the book, like the guy is really like, you cannot basically evolve and be enlightened or whatever your goal is if you don't join a school.
Let me ask you this though. I thought that when you set yourself a goal, then you're fucked already, according to Osho, and this guy probably too. So what about the goal of enlightenment?
It's a good question.
Sons of bitches.
Exactly. That's a nice one.
Sons of...
It's a really good point also to, it's like a cliffhanger for something we're never going to come back to. That's a good...
Well, never.
No, but I mean, it's still a nice cliffhanger and a nice conclusion.
Okay.
So I think that's a good ending of the podcast. Thank you very much for the conversation, Luciano.
Thank you, Senor Joshua.
Thank you, Osho.
Thank you, Osho, for
And Ayahuasca, Mother Ayahuasca.
Mother Ayahuasca. And of course.
And Big Buddhas. Right here. I was thinking, I named my dog Osho, and I didn't think about it. I was like, that's awesome. Like the moment, because Blanca proposed it, and I was like, then she kind of felt bad about it in the beginning, because I was like, yes, this is going to be Osho, and she's like,
that was too easy, right?
Yeah, she was like, maybe this, maybe. I'm like, no, you said it. It's gonna be Osho.
We're done.
And then for the first couple of days, like I was like a bit, because I think Osho wouldn't see the problem, because names are just it's a ridiculous thing. But let's say, I mean, of course, this you could never do, but you name your dog Muhammad.
Okay.
Like the prophet of the Islam, you cannot call your dog that, or maybe even
boxer.
Huh?
Like the boxer, Muhammad Ali.
Yes, but I mean, you can't. I think it's a sensitive subject. Or if you call your dog Jesus.
Okay, that would be weird.
Right? So exactly.
What's your doggy's name? Jesus.
Exactly, because some people will definitely take offense. Well, I mean, I don't think Osho would take offense, but I think people, because we were like the spiritual retreat. I know, but I mean,
there's no malintent.
I know, but I just didn't realize it, and then now I realized, because I was like, it's cool, Osho. I really like Osho. I like reading his stuff. I like his talks. I'm like a disciple of Osho. That's cool, Lord Osho. I have good energy with that. But then I realized, like, probably within this spiritual community of Osho followers, or people who are inspired by Osho, or people who see Osho as their guru, if you have your dog called Osho, there might be some people being upset by it.
But I think those are the kind of people you don't want to talk to.
I agree.
The people that go like, wow, that's an amazing name. Okay, I want to be your friend.
That's true. But sensitive dog names. Who would have known?
Who would have known? I kind of want to know my future dog, Jesus.
I mean,
Or hallelujah.
Buddha.
Where you at? Hallelujah.
I think Jesus is nice. You have like Jesus, Buddha, Osho,
All the
and
things
Krishna,
together, right?
Krishna, like all the gods.
Which would be the pain in the ass?
Osho, man, I couldn't dick. Osho's way too free and
Dick.
independent. Jesus Christ.
At least your dog...
Huh?
At least your dog has characters.
Yeah, at least he has his
Well
own.
named.
He's his own person. That's it.
Muy bueno.
Anything else? You're good? We're good? Alright, cool.
You good?
I'm good.
Eyes on Growth is an original podcast produced by Inkululeku Studios, hosted by Joshua Mullendakes and Luciano Ans, editing by Sofia Vicente. Thank you for listening and keep an eye out for our upcoming episode.